Hello everyone, this is E-Flex and welcome back to another A Producer's Approach video. In this video we're going to be looking at I.Y.F.E.E.'s song Jurassic. So if you guys have never watched my videos in the past, I do these videos in three separate sections. I basically have an intro backstory section, then after that I have a breakdown analysis section, and then lastly I have a outro section just wrapping up my opinions and thoughts. So I.Y.F.E.E. song Jurassic. I.Y.F.E.E. is a artist. The acronym stands for In Your Face F Every Day. It's kind of a weird acronym, but I.Y.F.E.E. has released music under Monstercat for at least two separate times. I know Sweet, he was in the collab, and then he did a remix for Tut Tut Child's song Hummingbird. I think this is the only I.Y.F.E.E. release that was like their own solo release, but this song is an electro song that came out in 2013, I believe, on the album I.Y.F.E.E. Awakening. I could be wrong, but I just looked up some of the research in terms of like I.Y.F.E.E. I know the artist apparently was Alex Mind, which is another artist I heard of in the past. I didn't know that was Alex Mind, but I think I.Y.F.E.E. also was like a duo. I thought it was a duo, and there were two separate people, and then they kind of branched off and did their own thing, or the guy that started I.Y.F.E.E. Ended up changing to a different music style. But I remember like I thought they were a duo, and then they split up. I'm not totally sure on that. You can look that up probably on Monstercat Wikipedia, where I kind of found what the acronym of I.Y.F.E.E. stood for, because I used to know it in the past, but I totally forgot now. It's been so long. But basically I.Y.F.E.E. was a duo, I believe. I'll just kind of run with that from Monstercat that I found, and they're part of some of the duos that I believe have split up over time after like a few releases on Monstercat, which is sad. I mean, I knew all of them, like all the lore of all these artists and kind of their backstories back in the day, but I'd love to see some of their music now in this style, but it's totally different. But this song Jurassic, like this song is like what Jurassic says. It goes hard. Like it's like Jurassic Park meets Electro Complextro. Like it goes hard. This song might not be for everyone, but this is like electro I also like really hard, intense kind of really sound designy type wubbing electro. So it's a little bit of a long song, but we'll get through it. So this is I.Y.F.E.E.'s song Jurassic. Let's get into it. Alright, so that was the intro. It's similar to the traditional intros, but there's a lot of different chops. There's a lot of different wubs, a lot of different samples kind of thrown in, a lot of different kind of sound design things, different sounds. It's really cool. I like how they kind of used the vocal chop and all the different samples right in the beginning, kind of with some kind of wubs in the bass line, and like a lot of different kind of reverb, kind of little vocal things in the back. So that's really cool, kind of as an intro. It's not just a vocal chop in the beginning, but it makes it really interesting, and that kind of bass and that hard kick just goes right into it in the beginning. So let's keep going. right, so that's pretty interesting. Within this break section, it starts off with the piano kind of playing like a little kind of lead sound on the top, and then that kind of piano sound with a lot of reverb switches into the synth sound, which plays the chord progression, as well as the kind of lead sound. I think kind of changes more into a different synth, and then that plays out. Some of the percussion kind of comes in, like the snare, and then it kind of side chains when the snare comes in. I kind of noticed that it kind of ducks a little bit. And I like how in the break, like when it plays like da, 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 and then like the kind of dinosaur Jurassic kind of growls kind of separate. I guess as kind of like, coplextro at the end of each phrase, there's like a sound. They kind of use the Jurassic kind of dinosaur sound, screams, roars, kind of to break up the different parts of the chord progression, which is really cool. That's a really unique way to really hit on the head that this is a song that's really dinosaur Jurassic themed, like Jurassic Park. So that's really cool. And then before the drop, you kind of hear the sound kind of filter all the way out with like a high pass filter, so it like kind of goes all the way up till you don't even hear the sound, and then like comes back down almost from being like all the way at the sound being all the way up in the high end to where you can't hear, and then kind of slowly bringing back from the high end, bringing to more low end sound. So it's a really cool build up. And then the snare is really punchy, and then the snare build up is going to be a little more traditional, and is going to have a dinosaur growl, I believe, and then there's going to be some white noise like most other songs, building up the tension. So let's keep going. All right, that was the first drop. There was a lot going on in that first drop. So basically the percussion rhythm is very similar to a electro house song where it's four on the floor, kick snare, and then some hi-hats. So that kind of keeps the flow and the rhythm going. A lot of different sounds, very unique to I.Y.F.E.'s kind of style, but it's also more geared towards the music within 2013, which isn't bad. The kick is really punchy, so it really, you feel that drive of the kind of top end of that kick kind of blaring through, and all the wubs kind of, everything kind of follows, I believe, a chord progression from what I can tell. And then there also is kind of like a almost like a riser, like uplifter and a downlifter, like shoo shoo, like a sweeping sound, kind of I guess leading into like transitioning different parts. I kind of heard that in the background go shoo 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 shoo, almost like, what a riser and downlifter would be, but I just kind of heard that more as like a synth. I don't know if that's like a sound effect or more of a synth, but it kind of helped keep the flow of the section, and then just the different wubs and the different sounds that were used at the end of each phrase, and just the different kind of wubs and stuff are just kind of crazy. It's just it goes hard. I mean, it's mostly a sound design sound, like it doesn't really follow like a really complex chord progression. So like the lead and I guess chord progression, I guess you would say, is whatever the kind of wubs are following from the root note. So it's pretty crazy. There's some Jurassic things kind of thrown in there, and then there's some kind of more peaceful sounds. I think kind of in the background, like kind of every once in a while, like kind of like nice sounding pads, I guess you would say. So it's not like, the whole time it's just jamming crazy, but it's not like dubstep, where it's really like wub 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 wub. This is more of a it sounds like there's like a synth and then just some wubs kind of all placed around, but it really has like a really aggressive feel to the song. So that's all I want to say. Let's keep going. All right, so this section of the break is pretty similar to kind of the first break section where you kind of had the kind of art playing with the piano on the bottom and then switches to those synthetic, more synth chords, which is really cool. I didn't realize that the sub comes in at that time, but that kind of makes sense even in the first break, that the sub comes in because it just sounds really full. So it sounds like there's a lot of low end as well. So that's really cool. And then just another thing I noticed, like when the sound kind of filters out before the build up, I didn't realize just before that the snare was also playing as well. The sound doesn't completely dip out until you kind of see the sub bass around here. It just kind of disappears when the sound is like completely kind of filtered out. But this filtering wasn't like as smooth, I feel like, as the transition kind of back into the first build up into the drop. It didn't seem as smooth to me, but I don't know, maybe that's just my ears and my opinion. So I think the build up is pretty similar to how it's gonna build up with some snares and then some white noise, and then it's gonna build up and have kind of the, I think, dinosaur roar sample before the drop. So let's continue. Alright, so that drop seemed a lot shorter than the first drop. I just wanted to point that out right now. So we'll kind of go over all that after the song finishes. Alright, so that was I.Y.F.E.E.'s song Jurassic. So we'll back up to kind of what the second drop was. So the second drop was definitely different. He varied the sounds quite a bit from the first drop. Like the sounds, you could tell there's like kind of a more kind of uplifting, kind of mechanical sounding sound and some different wubs in that section. But the percussion is pretty much the same. the sub bass was kind of going along with the same kind of I guess chord progression. It's just like the sounds were kind of a little bit different. Might have been a few notes that maybe were different, but the progression in which the kind of wubs and the bass lines were kind of following were pretty similar to the first drops, kind of progression and kind of melody and bass line there. So it's interesting how, you know, just a few sounds can make a drop totally different in a song where it's very heavily dependent on a lot of sound design. It's not more melodic. It's really kind of in your face, kind of wubby and stuff like that. So after the second drop, it transitions into the outro pretty quickly. And then it's more of a traditional outro. And then he has some of the different bits, like the different synths playing, like the vocal chop, kind of similar to the intro of the song, but kind of reversed. And then towards the end of the song, there's kind of like this uplifting sound, and then it kind of ends, and then there's kind of this downlifting sound, which is also kind of in the outro, kind of side chaining. I don't really know. It's like maybe like a side chained almost synth to act as like a riser, and then it like downlifts after, or yeah, I'm not, or just descends after. It's an interesting sound. So yeah, I mean, that's I.F.E.E.'s song Jurassic. After looking at this, I think I was wrong in terms of the Monstercat album. I think this is in 013, Monstercat 013. I don't know how I got that wrong, but feel free to leave a comment and letting me know that I got the album wrong. Yeah, I believe this is 013. So I.F.E.E.'s song, or In Your Face, Effin' Every Day. That's kind of what the abbreviation stands for. They really made a really hard-hitting song. This song, you know, melodically doesn't do much, but for me, like, I really like listening to the song when I really want something to like pump me up, or I just want something like really kind of aggressive to listen to. Like, this song does it. Like, it's just straight out the gate, you kind of get those chops, those kind of different synth chops, and you get the Jurassic roar, and then you have those like really kind of aggressive sounding sounds, like the wub, and then like when it drops, like the kick is really heavy, and like the wubs are just going, and you can't even keep track of like how many wubs are happening, and just like all the different sounds and the different lifting sounds, and it's just like, wow, it's just kind of like a burst of energy, this song. So at least to me, 700,000 views for a song coming out in 2013 is a little bit underrated. That's just my opinion. I'm kind of surprised that this song is a little less known than it is on Monstercat, but I.F.E.E. didn't release that many songs on their own. This might be their only one. That's not a remix or a collab, so it makes sense, but I would have thought more people would like music in this style, but maybe it's just me. But this is kind of one of those electro hidden gem songs. Like, this is a little bit different than some of the Complextro I've been showing. A lot of the other Complextro songs are like a little more melodic and follow like a chord progression. Like, this song just straight goes into the sound design. Like, it follows a bass pattern, like a bass kind of progression, or kind of a bass line, but like it just goes all out in terms of sound design. There's like different wubs here and there, different kind of saw wave sounds, and just multiple different sounds, kind of almost like a call and response answering each other. So it's just like one happy, aggressive song. Just like, I don't know. It's really good for me. I really like the song. Like, I listen to the song when I really want to pump myself up. Like, yeah, let's do this. Like, this is the song I would probably go to. But yeah, so I hope you guys like this APA video. Sorry I didn't break down every single sound. There are quite a few sounds going on in this song, so I didn't want to make the video too long breaking down every single sound. Plus, I don't want to assume which sounds like I.F.E.E. used at the time. But the feel of the song is very much like a 2013 electro complextro song, which is just right up in my alley. So it's great for me. So if you guys like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you don't mind sharing this video with some friends, that would be cool too. If not, you know, no hard feelings there. But I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you in the next APA video. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.